What's good, YouTube? And welcome to legacy vendors in the Yu-Gi-Oh community being very angry with quarter-century Bonanza. Are you ready for me to ruffle some rich feathers? I'm seeing that pushback once again. Quarter-century secret rares, modern trash. Oh, look at Ultimate Caius. It's still very cool. I think a lot of people are trying to keep hyping up their old stock while giving this perception that this is not so awesome. It's ugly. In fact, you should look over here at this more expensive card. Do you recall when this rarity debuted? I was one of the few channels openly pushing back against Starlight's retaining value, and I'm not a financial advisor channel. I can't see the future, but I've been around the block, and when a rarity comes out that is going to be easier access to obtain and eventually pushed into the ground in mass like we've seen here, is going to come down to the specific singles as well as the perception to it. And the perception is, that looks a lot like a Starlight. So many people were like, no, look at the name and the hollow pattern and this, people aren't going to do that. Yet, what happened? We look at Starlight Exodia. Yes, it's very hard to pull out of a side set, but how many people were ready to go for that quarter-century secret Exodia, especially when the rest of the limbs were done? I'll admit, you have a fair argument in how lazy Konami has been with their choices and pushing into value that should have maintained and not doing like Alter Art Black Rose, Alter Art Stardust for quarter-century secrets and leaving something special in those sets that they originally took a whole import slot to do. I can get behind that kind of an argument, right? But when it comes down to us being on the third iteration of the set and knowing what to expect and trying to go back to that argument of quarter-century secret rare ugly modern trash, yeah, you're allowed to think it's ugly, but trying to use it to push other goods, that's a little bit of a mental gymnast sweep of, yeah, look at my awesome stuff, ignore this, look at what I already have, not this new thing. I'm super pumped for a lot of these cards. I have $0 into Bonanza, by the way, besides 2 free boxes I've got from Gamer's Choice that I'm gonna probably open in a box battle on stream. I've also begged tier 0 for a couple of the cards after they sort through and see what they have left over versus orders where something went wrong and stuff like that, right? But I did call a lot of the prices that would be going up, and I even conservatively said I think about 12 cards in here will go up in the first couple of weeks, where everyone was saying no, just wait 3 weeks, this whole set's going to crash down, people are going to be able to get what they want. Not in quarter-century secret rare, and even some of the platinum secrets are starting to go up here, and this is really platinum Bonanza. You see a ton of the platinum secrets per box, yet these are starting to rebound depending on what the card is. Thunder King Ryo is up another $1 today and is now $6, for example, too. So when it comes to the set, I think it pulled a super cool balancing act, and not everybody thinks so, but I think taking away only 20% of the modern reprint pulls to also build a secondary past format set within here was awesome, and we'll probably see something similar in the next one for a lot of those choices you thought were missed or were wanting to see. They went with even banned cards like only the Kaiba sets usually do, right? And I do think that even the Platinum Vanillas look a bit special and might be something I'd pick up. I was considering actually doing a video if the set did stall out of going in like I did with Chunk Ultimate Rares, because I think this will do good until whatever promotion they do for the 30th and we see what kind of cards they create there and what lazy triple dips they end up doing. So there is kind of a timer clock on this as well, in my opinion, depending on the card art, and the version, but some cards people collect every version of, and that's what's on top of the set, right? Dark Magician Girl, Blue Eyes, Dark Magician, but then there's cards that are just so legacied to the game and the history of the game, and do have some anime tie-ins like Blackluster Soldier Hero or Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. I think Upstart Goblin is a very TCG card where it has that deep-rooted history, and I never bet against draw cards. But this front page, let's count how many cards have gone into buyout mode just on here. Well, there's the Blue Eyes, Dark Magician Magician Girl, all three of them. BLS, Caius is back up. Dark Magician's on buyout mode. Stratos certainly is. Blue Eyes Ultimate, so there's already 9. Triple Tactics Thrust actually is not. Heavy Storm is 10. Sky Striker Mobilize Engage 11. Upstart 12. JD's, going, so we'll consider it 13. Dark Magician Girl, the Dragon Knight certainly is going. And I heard a specific complaint, oh, Konami ruining these kinds of cards by making so many versions. What are you talking about? This debuted in Dragons of Legend, a side set. I think it deserves several versions, and it goes into the Dark Magician Girl collectible area. Jinzo, I'm a bit sad about. I haven't got mine yet. Somebody even commented, sure hope you got yours, because it's going again. Chaos Emperor Dragon, even with the errata. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon was one of my calls, so was Allure, especially for Malice. Thunder King Ryo was easy to see, but the point is, all of these are in a pack where it's the most expensive MSRP per card ever to pull. More than Rarity 2, more than anything we have ever seen in all of Yu-Gi-Oh! That means we are paying more per card to get, and in the quarter century, secret rares are extremely hard to pull, extremely hard time-wise to even sort for vendors, and after Rarity 2's kind of flop, I think it was a lot less ordered, especially with how deep people probably tried to go in on this despite the upped MSRP, only for it to end up being really on the clearance rack even today with Blue Eyes cards, hand traps, everything. I would consider this undervalued, except let's say this box jumps up $30. Well, you're already paying sales tax checking out on TCG Player, and then you're going to have to ship this. It's a box, so it physically takes up more space. Even if this goes up $30, you're not seeing a lot of profit unless you move it in person, and that's going to be a specific buyer versus the online ecosystem. Now, in retail stores, I don't think they've clearanced it yet, and they're trying to hold on hope, but seriously, the set has a lot of cool cards, yet it couldn't do it. This is only really seeing that drive thanks to the nostalgia pool, which also still gives cheap meta cards to players that were cannibalized and double dipped from the tint, speaking of Konami's terrible double dipping. So this set does have like 2.5 things out of 3 going for it, which is more than enough to be a successful thing. I would say out of appealing to casuals, appealing to collectors, and appealing to the meta players, it does a half point to the meta players because we already got these reprints, but it does cool them down even further. To the collectors, it's a dream, especially if you love any of these cards or the rarities. And for people that go for every Blue Eyes Dark Magician Girl, there's that box. But there's also just so much for past formats and having different options. And like the Thunder King Ryo is still, for that Platinum Secret, about what a common was going for, if not less. So you have a nice looking holographic version of it as the base cheapo version now. And when it comes to seeing everything in the set, there's just so much going for it that it's way beyond my expectations of what would happen early. Summon Skull, I love LOB format. This is ridiculous even by my standards, but look at people go in on it. And the God cards are starting to even go now. Red Eyes in that altar art is going. Toad, I should have seen that one coming earlier, especially with Mermail in the format. Mirror Force for past format play. That altar art polymerization has been going back and forth, even from being from the main pool, where you'll see those cards more often. And yeah, there goes House Dragon Maid starting to go. I think it was at a low of $14 somebody said they bought it at. But so many of these cards, Magician of Faith, all through the second page, we're seeing buyout after buyout after buyout. The money wouldn't be there if these were considered en masse ugly. People would not be shopping with FOMO instead of waiting, for Black Friday and the promotions TCG players obviously going to do if they thought they were ugly and just going to sit there. You're allowed to think they're ugly, I'll say that, but trying to use that as a wedge to sell other cards, that's where I find that push a bit ridiculous and a bit, what would it be? Not convoluted. Corrupted? I think corrupted would be the word of trying to spread that perception in order to fulfill your own pocket. I have, again, zero money in this game, and I think this is a super awesome set, and I think it's awesome. And when I say this game, I mean in Bonanza. I obviously have tons of Yu-Gi-Oh cards right behind me. I don't want to misspeak on something like that, but I really like these cards. I like the set. I thought about going in, and I still want to stay impartial on my opinions, which is why I don't. But let me know what you think about Bonanza and how absolutely bonkers it's gone over this last week, because we've already seen quadruple down buyouts on some of these, which isn't hard to achieve from how hard it is to pull. I try to add all the data and context where I can and put a little bow on it, but at the same time, seeing the vendor bros get a bit mad at this set is hilarious to me. Because, we're on the third one.